All right, we got more Shedeur Sanders tape in this one. I thought he played well out there for the most part. Definitely some issues that we will discuss in this game. Some things he has to work on. Honestly, he definitely didn't have to do a ton in this one due to how the score got lopsided right away and the Raiders offense couldn't do anything. They very much had a run the ball and play defense mindset, but part of how they got up big was this play on this that we're going to talk about first here. You see at 7-0, there was a special teams play that set up a short field for a running touchdown. But here, 3rd down and 8, obvious passing situation, can't run the ball on this one. The Raiders are going to blitz, which is something that we saw the Ravens do, and the Browns offense as a whole struggled last week when Shedeur Sanders was in there when the Ravens blitz. Well, here Shedeur Sanders takes the snap, the blitz gets home, but Shedeur Sanders, to his credit, able to juke out a defender, which is, again, part of why many people, including myself, even if I was a little lower on him than a lot of other people were, I still had a first-round grade on him. Most people had a first-round grade on him because of stuff like this. And watch this, off balance right before getting clobbered. He does that so well. He can throw while getting hit, as good as I've seen a prospect be able to throw, which is an important trait in the NFL. Really good stuff there from Shedeur Sanders. Again, you make one play like that, it just helps things. Now you're up 14-0, and the way this game went, that completely changed the strategy for both teams basically right away. Also, this play, I think the Jerry Jeudy mistake that happened was kind of what overshadowed it. I thought this was a good play and an underrated little thing that Sanders did really well in this game, in my opinion, where it's going to be a zone coverage concept here for the Raiders, and you see, receiver on the right side of the offense running a deep shot, kind of trying to push the safety further deep. Jeudy going more over the middle. When this play begins, though, watch, Max Crosby's going to go for an inside move right here, and Sanders notices that. Watch how Sanders plays off of this. Watch as he is going to then just kind of shift to where he has space, really good stuff from Shedeur Sanders there. And this is something he does well. He does have a good feel for the pocket. Now, again, does he hold on to the ball too long? Well, in college, he certainly liked to hold on to the ball for a while. Here, though, no worries about that because he has an open receiver. Sanders is able to make the throw. That was easy. I mean, that was a blown coverage by the Raiders, and then Jeudy fumbles the football. That was not good. But it's a good little thing by Sanders to have a good feel for the pocket to eventually make the play work. I don't know if Dillon Gabriel makes that play work. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But, I don't know if he does, and Sanders was able to make it work. So there is definitely plenty of good in this game. Now, we got to go over to a play like this because, this was a big part of what they were doing. I mean, the Browns were not, they did not have again, like I said, they were running the ball and playing defense. On a lot of these plays, there was a lot of screen passes. On like a 3rd down and 9, there was a screen pass. They were not necessarily putting the ball in Shedeur hands. Oh, this is a 3rd down and 9 where they're going to run a screen pass. They were not necessarily, but there was other ones too. They're not necessarily just trusting him to drop back and pass, right? Whether that's because they don't trust him or they don't trust the passing attack or they just think that's the right strategy in this game. I'll let you decide. Ultimately, though, Sanders, he does his part. He flips the ball out, towards the top of the screen, and you see, this is horrible defense by this Raiders safety. You got to make this tackle. Although, give Dylan Sampson credit. That's the halfback who made that play, got a touchdown out of it. Very good play from him. So, hey, still well executed by Cleveland. It's not their fault the safety completely, screwed up his assignment. So, definitely some good from Shedeur Sanders. And again, yes, okay, a play like this is going to inflate the stats. It just is. And it's part of why, I'm just going to say this, Shedeur Sanders fans, it's not a guarantee that if Dillon Gabriel is healthy next week, that Kevin Stefanski goes back to him. Personally, I would go with Sanders given what I've seen from them just because of the positives Sanders can bring. Let's just get him in more. I think we know what Gabriel is, give him more playing time. But if they do decide to go with Gabriel, this is going to be part of why is, just the offense in general made plays. There were some inconsistencies. But again, I think Sanders, I don't want to take away full credit because I think he did some nice things here. Like, for example, this, where it's a 3rd down and 12. So, again, I think some people were kind of looking at this play and saying, this was something he didn't have to do a lot on. Watch. Sanders takes the snap, he's going to look over, and to have Harold Fannin, really nice tight end for them. He's currently behind the line of scrimmage, but I have to say, like, you want to get this over to defensive linemen. You have to throw it over them. Like, it's not an easy play to make work. Sanders, while under pressure, does a good job of making that work. This is definitely a Harold Fannin highlight. This is not a Shedeur Sanders highlight. But again, we didn't get to see a lot of Shedeur Sanders. He didn't get to just, drop back and rip it 30 times, right? Like, so we didn't get to see a ton of that. But when we saw these types of plays, it's like, okay, he's doing these little things well, and he should be praised for them, in my opinion. There are some critiques. Like I said, this was not a perfect performance. I do want to talk about the criticisms. Two major ones. I guess we can talk about the interception first. So it was this one. It's a first down and 10. This was just after that big touchdown, and you almost felt like there was a letdown play coming, right? That's classic young quarterback, right? Make a big play and then try to do too much on a play right after. But here's the situation. You have a receiver who's going to try and get into a gap in coverage over the middle. Sanders takes the snap, and this is just an example of, the commentator said that they thought this was maybe a misread of the coverage. I think this is just a welcome to the NFL moment, quite frankly, because this is college open. It is. Like, the defenders can't get there in time to, knock this ball away. But here in the NFL, linebackers just, they move better than defensive backs in college do. It's just a different ball game. So you see Sanders kind of just takes too long to get the ball over there. That ball has to be out significantly quicker. NFL moves so fast. To me, this is just a rookie mistake, is how I view it. So there was some of that. There were, I don't want to say there was some of that. There was that play. And then there was a little bit of this. This was not the only example of what I'm about to show here. So you see, they're just getting lined up, and this is just a bit of a mess right here. So watch as Shedeur Sanders is going to communicate something to his receivers towards the left. You see, I've circled Dylan Sampson, number 22 for Cleveland. Watch as Shedeur Sanders says something. All of a sudden, Dylan Sampson's in motion, and Sanders saying, no, don't you go. Harold Fannin starts going in motion, but you notice how when Fannin started going in motion, Dylan Sampson hadn't fully set. So now you see Harold Fannin Jr., he is not now fully set, but Dylan Sampson is moving. Why is that important? Well, because by rule, if you're going to have multiple players in motion at the same time, everyone has to come fully set before you can snap the ball. You can have one player in motion while you snap the football, but everyone has to be set, and then you send a player in motion. Is this Shedeur Sanders' fault? Is this Fannin's fault? Is this Dylan Sampson's fault? Is this Kevin Stefanski's fault? The answer is yes. It's everyone's fault. Everyone has to be in charge here. Everyone has to understand this. Usually the quarterback is the one leading the charge. Also, Sampson moved very early, though, so I think he screwed everything up. It was just not a great situation. On top of this, this play finally gets moving. Shedeur Sanders takes the snap, and look at him. This is a designed screen pass. So you see how there's players getting right to the quarterback. That's by design. But Sanders isn't looking towards the bottom of the screen. So everyone's playing it out as though it's a screen pass, except for Shedeur Sanders, who's looking elsewhere. And for a second, I'm like, is he using his eyes to try and fool the defense? But no, you see, he seems a little surprised, eventually throws this one into the dirt. It was just a mess. This was the worst example, but there were a couple of procedural stuff where it's like, these guys just need more reps together, right? It's the first time they're all working together, and they need to be a bit more cohesive. That is not having first team reps, right? That was the whole discussion. To me, that's something to have to fix. But yeah, other than that, listen, to me, this is why I think, I kind of started getting on I want to see what Shedeur Sanders has a few weeks before he finally got into a game, just because, listen, I can see if you're Kevin Stefanski, Dylan Gabriel does some little things better, and I can see in practice why maybe you'd like him more, because I could see the procedural stuff being a little bit smoother with the more pro-ready guy, right? But I just think there's more talent with Shedeur Sanders. There's more upside, and you can fix the procedural stuff. You can fix the kind of by-the-book stuff, the throwing down the field plays that he was able to make in this one, a couple of those, and the pocket presence plays. That stuff you can't really fix. So, that stuff you kind of just have to have, and he has that. So it's all a question of, can you get things going? And again, listen, whether he should have been a fifth-round pick or not, he was a fifth-round pick. Once you get thrown into a situation like that, you have to be able to beat a team like the Raiders, and he was able to do it. So give him credit for it. It was a good performance for him. Didn't have to do a lot, but when he did have to do stuff, he was able to make the most of it. So yeah, and if, that's how I feel about it. Hopefully he gets more playing time, and hopefully Gabriel is healthy and they just go with Sanders, because I want to see what he has. Yeah. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? I'm sure. Listen, I'll say this. Last week, I felt like everyone was pretty normal about Shedeur Sanders in my comment section, which I was surprised by. But I appreciate all of you, for being normal in when the situation hasn't always called for people being normal with Shedeur Sanders for whatever reason. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.